It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and E.J. Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. E.J. Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
All right, my friends, it's Dr. Paul Semendinger. No EJ tonight. EJ and I still have to work out a plan for the live show, possibly coming soon. I think many of you know that I was serving as a superintendent of schools the last 6 months. And so my evenings have been busy. My days have been busy. And so it just made recording the program live with EJ impossible. And now that it's summertime with summer schedules, we have to see if we can work out getting ourselves back together to do the live show on Monday nights at 9. Now, this is almost live. I'm recording this at 8:11 p.m. I still am a little reluctant with the Wi-Fi. We tried a couple of live shows late in the winter, and well, at least one of them we tried live, and it didn't really work. And so for peace of mind, I like to now record these ahead of time, and that's something else I have to work out with EJ. But anyway, in the meantime, we're here to talk Yankee baseball. But before we do that, let's make today a great day. And how do you make your day great? You look around at the world, you notice the good, you take that good, and you cherish it in your heart. If you find the good things in life and cherish them in your heart and show gratitude, you can't help but have a great day. But some people say, Dr. Sem, there is no good in this world. Nothing is good. Well, then make some good. Do nice things for other people. And then there's good, and you can cherish it in your heart, and then you'll have a great day. But don't be selfish. Don't keep all that goodness for yourself. Spread it, give it, share goodness with others, do nice things for others. And remember, when we give love, it comes back to us in greater amounts than we ever gave. Also, remember that this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing. Artemisia is a traditional publisher located in the United States of America. They publish tons and tons and tons of great books across a plethora of genres. They also publish many great books that were written by me, including 365.2, Going the Distance, A Runner's Journey. If you need motivation, you need to read that book. Or how about From Compton to the Bronx by Roy White with me? Or The Least Among Them. Or the greatest novel ever written, Scattering the Ashes. And of course, I hate the graphic for this one. And it is what it is. My brand new Yankee book, The Greatest New York Yankees by Uniform Number. I need to make a better graphic for that so it looks a lot better the next time we do this. Go to apbooks.net and take a look at all my books, but all of the great books by others as well. And remember that this show, of course, is part of the Start Spreading the News Yankee blog. We put up brand new articles every single day at 6 a.m., 10 a.m., 2 p.m. And then there's always a game thread when there's a game being played. Of course, if there's an afternoon game or an early evening game, that does take the place of the 2 p.m. thread. But nobody does the job of covering the Yankees and writing about the Yankees as well as we do. We have a big collection of great writers, and each of them has their own takes, their own perspectives, their own ideas about the Yankees, and they're free to share them anyhow and in any way they would like on the site, as long as they write well and as long as they do not involve inappropriate discussions, swear words, and the like. We are the nicest and the very best Yankee site out there. Go visit, start spreading the news at least 3 times every day. So the Yankees are playing right now. They're playing the Tigers. Oh my goodness, when I put the show on, the Yankees were down 5-0. It's now the top of the 4th, and the Yankees are down 7-0. This follows the Yankees being swept by the Red Sox over the weekend. They lost 5-4. They lost 4-1. They lost 6-1. They lost 6-3. That comes after they won 2 games in a row against the Tigers, 4-2 and 4-3. But that came after they lost 3 games in a row. 1 to the Tigers, 5-3. 1 to the Reds, 4-1. And 1 to the Reds, 10-2. So let's count up the losses. 1, 2, 3, 2 wins, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this would then be 8. 2-8 over their last 10 should the Yankees not come back from trailing 7-0 right now to the Detroit Tigers, who have 35 wins and 49 losses. They're playing in Yankee Stadium, where the Tigers are 12-28 on the road. And yet they're beating the Yankees 7-0. If the Yankees lose, this would be their 5th consecutive loss to bad teams. The Red Sox are a last place team, and the Tigers are a bad place team. There's something wrong in Yankee land. How things change quickly. Because for the Dr. Sem Yankee show the other day, I was talking about how the Yankees have a great run differential and they're better than the rest of the American League. And they are, but they're just not good, and they are frustrating. And one reason they're not good is they do not have a great manager. But for some reason, their manager, who has never won a World Series, for some reason, their manager gets to keep his job year after year after year. I don't know why the Yankees think that they're immune to changing managers. So I just have a quick little list here, a quick little rundown. The New York Football Giants. Well, their head coach is brand new for this coming season, John Harbaugh. Aaron Boone took over the Yankees in 2018. Since 2018, the Giants have had Pat Schumer, Joe Judge, Brian Daboll, and Mike Kafka. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now Harbaugh's the 5th head coach of the New York Giants. Why do the Giants keep changing coaches? Because they don't win Super Bowls. Interesting. The Yankees don't win World Series. Well, maybe the Giants just change coaches too often. Or is there another New York team that has coaches? Yes, there's another football team in New York. It's called the New York Jets. The New York Jets, since 2018, have had Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, and Aaron Glenn. Holy cow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different head coaches for the New York Jets in the time that Aaron Boone has been the only manager of the New York Yankees. Why do the Jets keep changing coaches? Maybe because they don't win Super Bowls. Well, with the Jets, they don't win ever. How about the New York Knicks? Well, the New York Knicks, who are the NBA champions, did they do anything different? Well, they had Jeff Hornacek, David Fizdale, Mike Miller, Tom Thibodeau, and Tom Thibodeau, who took them to the playoffs last year, was fired, and they brought in Mike Brown. And Mike Brown, just in his first year as the Knicks head coach, won them the NBA championship. They kept changing coaches because they weren't winning championships. What's the difference? Oh, yeah, the Yankees don't win world championships, but for some reason in the same time period, they think they must stay with Aaron Boone. Who else? Oh, what about, let's look at hockey. The New York Rangers. How many coaches have they had since 2018? I don't even know all these people's names, but they had Alain Vingualt, David Quinn, Gerald Gonat, Peter Lavalette, and now Mike Sullivan. That's a whole lot of coaches for the Hockey Rangers. Boy, it seems to be a pattern. When teams don't win, they keep changing their coaches. That's a lot of coaches that have coached the New York Rangers in the same time that the Yankees have had one manager, Aaron Boone. So let's go to the Mets, the other team in New York. Since 2018, the Mets have had Mickey Callaway, Luis Rojas, Buck Showalter, and Carlos Mendoza, who was just fired. But the Yankees, they stick with Aaron Boone year after year after year. Well, maybe it's because Aaron Boone had a long track record of excellence and greatness as a manager before he came to the Yankees. And the Yankees know that he's such a talented manager that it's just a matter of time before the Yankees start to win because of his impressive track record. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Aaron Boone doesn't have a track record. When the Yankees hired Aaron Boone to be the manager, he had never managed a Major League Baseball team. He had never managed a minor league baseball team. He had never managed a college baseball team. He had never managed a high school team. He had never managed a travel team, and he had never managed a little league team. The Yankees had him come and manage for the first time with the Major League New York Yankees. But maybe it was because Aaron Boone was such an exceptional coach that his track record as a coach was one that people said, well, just give him a shot to be the manager. He's bound to be an outstanding manager because of his extensive coaching background. But before the Yankees hired him to be a major league manager, Aaron Boone had never been a major league coach. Aaron Boone had never been a minor league coach. Aaron Boone had never been a college coach. Aaron Boone had never been a high school coach. Aaron Boone had never coached a travel team. Aaron Boone had never coached a little league team. The Yankees said, let's give Aaron Boone a chance to manage the Major League Yankees with no coaching and no managerial experience. And they did that for the 2018 season, and he didn't win the World Series. And they kept him for the 2019 season, and he didn't win the World Series. And he was the manager in 2020, and they didn't win the World Series. And in 2021, and in 2022, and in 2023, and in 2024, and in 2025, and in none of those years did they win the World Series. And every year, it seems, the Yankees go through these periods where they have these swoons. Well, they are in a swoon right now. Looks like they're about to lose their fifth straight game. They're in the bottom of, or they're still in the top of the fourth. And it's 7-0 still for the Tigers. There's 2 outs and a runner on third. They can make it 8-0 in a minute. Crazy stuff. I wrote an article today. I highly encourage everyone to go to Start Spreading the News and read the perspective articles that I write. Those are always filled with great information. Look, I want Aaron Boone to be a manager who wins the World Series. That's what every Yankee fan wants. But to date, Aaron Boone has managed 1,277 games as a manager of the Yankees, as the manager of the Yankees, without winning a World Series. Who's the guy who managed the most games in second place with the Yankees without winning a World Series? Buck Showalter, 582 games. Who's the manager who managed the third most games without ever winning a World Series? Bill Donovan, 465 games. Bill Donovan was the manager from 1915 to 1917. This idea that the Yankees change managers and it was all because of George Steinbrenner is a falsehood. They always changed managers when they weren't winning. The only time they haven't changed managers when they haven't won World Series is now. Aaron Boone has managed more games, 1,277, than the second and third most games managed by the other two guys who are in second and third place combined. And it would be one thing if Aaron Boone had a great track record of excellence. And you said, well, this guy's been great everywhere he's gone. But the Yankees took a chance on an unknown, a guy who no one knew if he could manage. And he's proving that he can't lead the Yankees to a world championship. We've seen him outmanaged. We've seen him make crazy decisions. We see him looking confused. We see him sticking with veteran players or his favorite players, even when their performance is so abysmal that no one else would even think of playing them. And we see him making crazy comments time and time again, and also playing players that are injured for long periods of time. We see a lack of discipline. We see, again, the incoherent comments that don't seem to make sense, that are contradictory from one day to the next. Remember a couple of years ago, he's like, Judge is fine, and then Judge is like, no, I'm not fine. I mean, he's supposed to be a great communicator, and yet there have been numerous times when he's saying things and the players are saying, no, I never said that. That's not even true. He's supposed to be a great communicator, but there are times when even he has admitted, no, I haven't talked to the player. Well, communication means you have to communicate. And what do we see him doing all the time? Standing in the dugout blowing bubbles. Then he was mad at Jazz Chisholm for having a lollipop, which I agree with. Jazz Chisholm should never have gone on the field of play with a lollipop in his mouth. The fact that there's a guy on the Yankees that thinks it's okay to go on a field with a lollipop speaks volumes. Like, that shows you the lack of discipline and the lack of seriousness on the team. Tell me another team somewhere where a player would think that that was going to be acceptable. But Jazz Chisholm did. Why? Because, well, I guess he knew his manager wasn't going to do anything about it because of the lack atmosphere. And if that lack atmosphere was one that brought the Yankees world championships, then you say, boy, this guy's brilliant. He knows exactly how to run the team to get the most out of his players. But he has this lack atmosphere, and the Yankees are not winning world championships. And they're losing a lot of games right now. There's a problem there. Adding to the problem is the next day, after Aaron Boone said he was extremely mad about the fact that Jazz Chisholm went on the field with a lollipop, the very next day, Aaron Boone starts calling him the Lollipop Kid. So in 24 hours, he goes from super angry to making jokes about it. Now, if you are an employee, and baseball players are employees, and your direct supervisor One day says he or she is mad at you, and the next day jokes around with you about the thing that they were supposedly mad at you about. That sends an unbelievably confusing message to the employer, to the employee, from the employer or from the boss. I am so mad at you. You did such a wrong thing. Let's joke about it today. That's not a normal atmosphere. You know what kind of atmosphere that reminds me of? The Office. The TV show The Office, which, by the way, is a comedy. It's not real life, but that's the way things happen in pretend. The manager's mad, the manager's happy, the manager's going to make you face some discipline, and the next day the manager's joking around with you. In fact, after he hit a home run the next day after the lollipop thing, instead of being contrite and saying, I probably did the wrong thing, my manager's disappointed with me, what does Jazz Chisholm do? He holds up a package of lollipops that were in the dugout. The manager, after saying that it was inappropriate for a player to have a lollipop on the field, which I agree with, and that was the right thing that Aaron Boone was saying, the next day still has lollipops in the dugout. Just think about that. Like, the whole thing, when you break it down, is incoherent. And I understand the lollipop thing is no big deal in the greater scheme of things. But boy, oh boy, is it a case study in the way Aaron Boone manages the Yankees and the way the Yankees are run. And you wonder why they don't win World Series, because there's a lack of seriousness. There's a lack of a desire to be great. The idea of being excellent is not part of the Yankee mentality. It's not part of the way the Yankees run. Aaron Boone does a good enough job to keep the Yankees in the pennant race and to keep them an interesting team and to be able to come in first place often enough to keep the turnstiles flowing. But he's not a good manager when faced in the big time with big games that he must win to be able to outmanage managers who are good and who know how to win championships. The Yankees are great at building teams that are very competitive and often very good when compared to a weak league. The Yankees aim to be really pretty darn good. They don't aim to be great. And they have a manager who's good enough to keep the Yankees pretty darn good, but he's not good enough to bring the Yankees to the promised land. Now, as we say, the Yankees right now are losing 7-0. They have a grand total here in the bottom of the fourth with 2 outs of 1 hit. I told you to go to those perspective articles because those perspective articles are great. At the end of that article, I wrote this. Here's how the Yankees have performed with runners in scoring position during this 2-7 streak, which is now going to be 2-8. On June 20th, they went 0 for 13 with runners in scoring position. On June 21st, they went 0 for 9. On June 22nd, they went 1 for 5. On June 23rd, they went 0 for 8. On June 24th, they went 0 for 2. On June 25th, they were 3 for 11. On June 26th, 0 for 4. On June 27th, 0 for 3. And on June 28th, 1 for 6. That's 5 hits in 61 at-bats, or a .081 batting average with runners in scoring position. Now, at some point, that has to be a reflection also of the way the team is run. What's the manager doing to help create runs? What's he doing differently since the players aren't hitting? And I know so many Yankee fans will just fall back on, well, Aaron Judge is hurt. Okay. But when the Yankees were winning a week ago, everyone was saying, this shows how great Brian Cashman did as a general manager and what a great job Aaron Boone is doing right now because all the players are stepping up. Well, right now, over the last week, they're not stepping up. Over the last 10 games, they're not stepping up. And so then it becomes contingent upon the manager to figure out how to get the team to change, how to get the team to manufacture runs. What's he doing differently? Are the players coming to the stadium earlier and working on hitting behind the runner? Are they doing drills like that? Are they working on bunting? Are they working on taking better leads and stealing more bases? Are they working on hitting sacrifice flies? Are they working on reading outfielders' arms and positioning to take the extra base? I mean, there's, I would think, a million different things a team could do to try to manufacture runs. It doesn't seem like the Yankees are doing that. They're not scoring. And people say they have a great pitching staff, and they do. But a pitching staff can't win games if you don't score any runs. At the end of that article, I mentioned the last couple games against the Red Sox. On Friday, the Yankees got 3 hits. On Saturday, they got 3 hits. On Sunday, they got 3 hits. Again, this is more than just where's Aaron Judge as the problem. And as of today, and now in the top of the 5th, the Yankees have 1 hit again. This is on 3.5 games in a row now of 3 or fewer hits in a game. This is more than just like bad baseball. It's terrible baseball. And this seems to happen to the Yankees every single year. Every single year. And as we said at the start, as I said at the top, all these other teams, and we can go through virtually every other franchise in sport since 2018, looks at the bottom line because the purpose of sports is to win championships. That's why they play the games. It's about winning. And the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. And they have a manager who hasn't been able to get them there. And while virtually every other organization in sports sees the bottom line and says, you know what? We don't have a championship manager here. It's time to change. The Yankees say, he's pretty good. He's kind of good enough. I think we should stay with him. I think we need to stay with him in spite of all of the reasons to move on from him. And I think if the Yankees were to poll their fans, and that's not the way to run an organization, of course, but any fan I've talked to primarily is baffled that Aaron Boone is still the manager. And then you hear this. Well, if he wasn't the Yankee manager, another team would grab him and make him their manager. And I have 2 thoughts on that. One, if he does a job for another team, as he's done for the Yankees, that eliminates one team from contention for the World Series in the league, because obviously he hasn't been able to win World Series. So if the Mets grabbed Aaron Boone, okay, well, then the Mets still aren't going to win. Or if the Red Sox grab Aaron Boone, well, that's one team in our division that we don't have to worry about. Or you could say he'll go to another team, learn from his mistakes, and become a great manager. And if that's what happens, I would be very happy for Aaron Boone. I would love for him to say, these are the mistakes I made along the way, and learn from the mistakes and use that knowledge to become a great manager. There have been plenty of managers that have failed at numerous stops along the way before they finally figured it out how to win. Tony La Russa, before he won with the A's, lost with the White Sox. Joe Torre, before he won with the Yankees, lost with the Mets, the Braves, and the Cardinals. Casey Stengel lost before he became the Yankee manager. I think he was with, I don't want to do that off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. But the Boston Braves, I believe, and at least another team or two in there. Right? Like most managers go somewhere else along the way before they find out how to win. Most often, it's part of the learning process. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how we learn. What is wrong is when you have a system that is clearly not working and the organization seems like it's impossible for them to make the move that seems obvious on its face. And just like I say when I criticize players like Giancarlo Stanton, who's always hurt, I'm a big Giancarlo Stanton fan. My son and I love eating Kit Kats every time Stanton hits a home run based upon an interaction Stanton had on late night TV when he first became a Yankee. My son was going off to college at that time, and I snuck into his bag of groceries that we bought a special Kit Kat. And I said, when you're watching the game at college and I'm watching the game at home, if Giancarlo Stanton hits a home run, let's eat those Kit Kats together. It's a way to bring us close across the many miles while you're away at college and I'm home without my son who's now growing up. We loved that tradition. This has nothing to do with whether or not we like Giancarlo Stanton. He seems like a great guy, a stand-up person, a player any team would want on their roster. But as a player, he's been a huge disappointment. That doesn't mean we don't like him. Anthony Volpe has been a huge disappointment as a Yankee. His defense gets worse. This year he's starting to hit a little bit, finally. Well, not the last week or so. Nobody's hitting the last week or so. But maybe, just maybe, he's going to be at least even a major league average hitter. Maybe. But if we're critical of him, that doesn't mean we don't like him. I would like nothing more than Anthony Volpe to be the greatest shortstop in the history of the major leagues and to lead the Yankees to a World Series. I'm a Yankee fan. I want Anthony Volpe to do well. But if he's not doing well, I have to be honest. I have nothing against Aaron Boone as a person. He might be the nicest guy in the world. But to date, as the manager of the Yankees, it just hasn't worked. And it's okay. In fact, it's necessary when things don't work to make changes. And yet the Yankees stick with him year after year after year after year. It's a system that's broken. And then they go through periods like this where they can't even beat bad teams. It's now the bottom of the fifth. There are 2 outs, and the Yankees still only have 1 hit, and they're still losing 7-0. All right, my friends, that's enough for the Start Spreading the News program today. I encourage you again to go to apbooks.net. I also encourage you to go visit Sunbury Press because they have my great book, West Point at Gettysburg, Volume 1, which is part of a 3-volume series that now that I am retired again, I will be working on getting Volume 2 written and to print. The goal is to have Volume 2 printed within the next year. So go to Sunbury Books to get a copy of West Point at Gettysburg. We spend time when the Yankees are doing well talking about how fun it is to watch the Yankees win. When things aren't going well, we spend time bemoaning the fact that things are not going well. But in the end, it's baseball and it's supposed to be fun. So sit back, understand that there are real important things that matter more than the Yankees. We can be frustrated, but it's just a game. I hope the Yankees start winning. I hope Aaron Boone starts to prove himself to be a great manager. I don't think he will, and that's why it's time for a change, but I'd love for him to prove me wrong. Make the most of every day. Be kind, be generous, be loving. Make every day a great day. And remember, when you give love, it comes back to you in greater amounts than you ever gave. Have a wonderful and terrific night.